Once upon a time, in the ancient city of Athens, there lived a great philosopher named Aristotle. He was a student of Plato and the teacher of Alexander the Great. But more than anything, Aristotle was a man who wanted to understand life. He asked big questions like, what is the purpose of human existence, and how can we live a good life? One of his most important ideas was about happiness. He believed that happiness was not just a feeling, but the highest goal of human life. Today, we will explore what Aristotle can teach us about happiness and how his wisdom can help us live better lives. Aristotle thought deeply about what makes people truly happy. He noticed that many people chase after things like money, fame, or pleasure, thinking these will bring them happiness. But he saw that these things are temporary. Money can be lost, fame can fade, and pleasure disappears quickly. Aristotle believed that real happiness, what he called eudaimonia, was something deeper. It wasn't just about feeling good for a moment. It was about living a life of meaning, virtue, and purpose. So, what does it mean to live a life of eudaimonia? Aristotle taught that happiness comes from fulfilling our true nature as human beings. We are not just animals seeking food and comfort. We are thinking beings with the ability to reason, to make choices, and to act with virtue. To be happy, we must develop our best qualities. We must cultivate wisdom, courage, kindness, and self-control. Happiness is not something that happens to us. It is something we build through our actions and choices every day. One of Aristotle's most powerful ideas was the concept of the golden mean. He believed that every virtue is a balance between two extremes. For example, courage is the middle point between recklessness and cowardice. Generosity is the balance between wastefulness and stinginess. To live a happy life, we must find this balance in all things. Too much or too little of anything can lead to suffering. The key is moderation. Let me tell you a story to explain this. Imagine two neighbors, Marcus and Lucius. Marcus was a man who feared everything. He never took risks, never tried new things, and always stayed in his comfort zone. He avoided challenges because he was afraid of failure. Lucius, on the other hand, was reckless. He took dangerous risks without thinking, spent all his money on foolish things, and never planned for the future. Both men were unhappy. Marcus lived in constant fear, and Lucius faced many troubles because of his careless actions. Aristotle would say that neither man had found the golden mean. A truly happy person would be brave but not foolish, careful but not paralyzed by fear. They would take wise risks, plan for the future, and live with balance. Happiness is not found in extremes. It is found in the middle path. Another important lesson from Aristotle is that happiness comes from activity, not passivity. He believed that we must use our talents and abilities to live a fulfilling life. Think of a musician who loves to play the flute. The musician does not find happiness just by owning a flute or looking at it. The joy comes from playing it, from creating music, from improving and expressing themselves. In the same way, we must actively engage in life to be happy. We must work, learn, create, and contribute. Aristotle also taught that relationships are essential for happiness. Humans are social creatures. We need friendship, love, and community to thrive. He said there are three kinds of friendships: friendships of pleasure, friendships of usefulness, and true friendships based on virtue. The first kind is when people are together for fun, like drinking buddies. The second is when people help each other for mutual benefit, like business partners. But the highest form of friendship is when two people admire each other's goodness and help each other grow. These deep, meaningful connections bring lasting happiness. Let me share another story. There was a wealthy merchant named Demetrius who had many friends. People flattered him, attended his parties, and asked him for favors. But when he lost his fortune, they all disappeared. Only one friend remained, Sophia, a woman he had known since childhood. She did not care about his money. She cared about his character. She stood by him in his hardest times, Aristotle would say that Sophia was a true friend, and this kind of friendship is one of life's greatest joys. Aristotle also believed that happiness requires self-reflection. He said, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." To live a good life, we must examine our actions, our desires, and our values. Are we living in a way that aligns with our deepest principles? Are we growing, learning, and becoming better? Without this self-awareness, we may chase empty goals and wonder why we feel unfulfilled. Finally, Aristotle taught that happiness is a lifelong journey. It is not a destination where we arrive and stay forever. Life brings challenges, pain, and setbacks. But if we live with virtue, purpose, and strong relationships, we can find meaning even in difficult times. Happiness is not the absence of suffering. It is the ability to live well despite it. So, what can we learn from Aristotle about happiness? First, true happiness is not found in wealth, fame, or pleasure alone. It comes from living a life of virtue, balance, and purpose. Second, we must find the golden mean in all things, avoiding extremes and choosing moderation. Third, happiness requires action. We must use our talents, engage with the world, and build deep relationships. Fourth, self-reflection is essential. We must understand ourselves to live wisely. And finally, happiness is a journey, not a fixed state. Aristotle's wisdom is over 2,000 years old, but it still speaks to us today. In a world that often confuses happiness with material success or fleeting pleasures, his teachings remind us of what truly matters. If we want to be happy, we must cultivate our character, seek balance, connect with others, and live with intention. So ask yourself, are you living in a way that aligns with your highest self? Are you building a life of meaning, not just momentary pleasure? The path to happiness is not always easy, but it is simple. Listen to Aristotle. Live with virtue. Find balance. Love deeply. And remember, happiness is not something you find. It is something you create day by day through the choices you make and the life you build. And so, the teachings of an ancient philosopher still light the way for us, guiding us toward a life of true happiness. The end.